Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the S&P Sports Show on this May the 2nd. This is the first show on May. I'm your host, Shawn Stewart, and we have some very great news, by the way. So my co-host, Mr. Anthony Pauls, how are you doing, my friend?
Well, very busy weekend with the draft. I'm sure you
Yeah.
were busy this weekend at the
Oh, yeah.
on Sunday. First time since 1983, a USFL game in Michigan. I think
That's
since
all about the
'85,
weekend.
actually. So
That's all about
we'll
the
get
weekend.
we'll get some tidbits on that, and the NBA playoffs are heating up, and the NHL playoffs. Man, just a lot of action. A lot of
And I did
action.
want to talk about what happened on
It's
Thursday.
popping. It's popping just like that.
Okay. So,
Boom.
okay. So,
It's
so
popping.
on Thursday, after Lamar Jackson got that big contract, I know you want to talk about that. Before the draft even started, because the liberal media was pushing the narrative that something about black quarterbacks not being underpaid or something like that. But apparently, there were 3 black quarterbacks got drafted in the first round, and I'm pretty sure the left-wing liberal media got pissed off about that. I don't know if you heard about that on ESPN or something like that, even though I don't watch ESPN like that.
Well, the liberal media loves a race debate. They can't live without a division. That's how they thrive. They need that black, white narrative, whatever, to get them the attention that they want. So you got to make everything black, white. I mean, dude, if you're talented, you're talented. Doesn't matter if you're black or white.
What color, right?
I mean, I understand the social implications, but sometimes it's taken a little too far. Not in every circumstance, but sometimes, man,
it's going way too far with
it's
that.
taken a little too far. The NBA and the WNBA, they especially take it too far.
Too far.
But,
and that's why they drive fans away, if you think about it.
man, let me tell you, it drives fans away.
Exactly.
In a bad way.
Exactly. I thought round one was very fantastic because, like, when round one, you saw a lot of like wheeling and dealing, especially like Arizona and Houston, especially Houston, with the second and third round picks, C.J. Stroud and Will Anderson.
Well, I'll say this: the Texans better win some games because, man, what happens if that pick becomes the top pick? What happens if C.J. Stroud turns into a bust? I mean, I wouldn't have made that deal. We're giving up a future one to move up that one spot. Or going from 12 to 3. I'm not giving up all of that. Just, it's not going to happen. I mean, the Texans, if you know you're not going to be very good, why would you do that? If you know you're probably not going to be good next year. Now watch that pick becomes the top pick. Watch the Cardinals suck next year because they're going to suck. And watch them have like the top 2 picks, and then they'll take like Caleb Williams and Marvin Harrison Jr. And they'll trade Kyler Murray and get a first rounder out of that.
I can see Marvin Harrison Jr. as a Cardinal. He'll look great in that
uniform.
uniform.
This will be, if they get the top pick, this will be the last season Kyler Murray is a Cardinal. Yeah, I said it. the last season he will be a Cardinal. He's overrated.
You said that plenty of times.
He's overrated, Sean. Has the athletic ability, but he's just straight up overrated. He's overrated, Sean. I said it. I've been saying it since we started this show. Okay? Him and Doc Rivers are probably the two biggest people I've crapped on this show. And would you say that's a lie? That those two are probably the two people I've crapped on the most on this show.
I knew about Doc Rivers. Everybody knows the choke artist.
I mean, yeah, but I probably crap on them more than anybody else. But I'm just saying in general that I crap on them probably more than any human being you know.
Right. Okay, continue with the draft, by the way. You were talking about
that's sorry that we got off topic there, but anytime you get into Doc Rivers and Kyler Murray, I just want to crap on them. Okay? I mean, there's another word to say. I'm just being polite. All right. As we know. Lots of comedy already. As for the draft, Anthony Richardson to me is the player that had the highest ceiling among the quarterbacks. They sit him for a year. And they got Nick Foles and get some veteran leadership behind him and develop him. He'll be ready for 2024. So the Colts are going to suck this year with Gardner Minshew out there. And that's fine. Let Gardner Minshew get beat up. Because you can go and get the offensive line that you want for that team next season. If you're the Colts, you might as well eat all the money you can this year. Shift contracts, eat all of the money you can for 2023 because you're not going to be very good. And if you develop Anthony Richardson, then in 2024, you'll have all that money and you can get a solid, upgrade that offensive line, get that defense fixed, and be on your way. I mean, that team already has some weapons. I mean, so do the Bears, but they're different, you know?
Right. At least they got years. The Bears got years in terms of develop the team. So
I don't even know if the Bears have years to develop a team. Because while the Bears in this draft, okay, they've made offensive line a big priority. That defensive line still sucks. And their back seven's pretty good. I honestly don't think that DJ Moore is going to really give them all that much more than what these fans are thinking, and I think they're delusional. Congratulations, you just went from a 3-win team to a 5 to 6-win team. Congratulations. Thank you for playing. Now, the Bears have 2 first-round picks. I mean, depending who gets the first pick, are they going to trade up for Marvin Harrison, June, you know? I mean, if Caleb Williams goes 1, I mean, the way the next draft is stacking up right now, I mean, the pick value is going to be way higher for this upcoming draft than this past draft. In terms of if you want to trade for one of those top 3 guys, you're going to have to pay a lot more than what was done in this draft. I mean, you're going to have to pay San Francisco like what San Francisco did in paying 3 firsts. Literally.
Yikes.
Maybe more. If you want to trade up for Caleb Williams, it might cost you 4 firsts. Seriously. That might be the cost. 4 firsts to go from like 10 to 1. Because I think he's just on another level. I mean, I don't know what else to say. As for the Lions, let's start with the Lions.
Okay.
Drafted Gibb. Probably could have got. Maybe you wouldn't have got him at 18. But it's as soon as that pick was made, you knew DeAndre Swift was gone.
Right.
Like, you knew it. I mean, you already knew he was like on the last year of his deal, and was he going to get traded? There were rumors that the Lions were fielding calls even before the draft. So when that pick was made, you pretty much knew that the DeAndre Swift era was done. Did they reach a little bit for Jack Campbell at 18? Yes. They could have traded down from like 18 to like 25, and
I was going to say
they could have
25.
made multiple. They could have made multiple trades down from 18, like 18 to 20, 20 to 22, you know, and picked up some picks and stuff like that, and still got their guy at a cheaper rate. But you know, they filled a major void, and they got a starter at linebacker, or at least should be a starter. So now you got Campbell, and you got Rodrigo, and Derek Barnes. I mean, or Anzalone. I mean, who's going to be your other linebacker? Secondary wise, Branch. The safeties are looking pretty damn good for the Lions. The only thing the Lions, I think, don't have is they don't have a true shutdown corner.
Yeah, it's been a big problem.
If they had a true shutdown corner with the rest of this group, oh my God. Then the only thing you'd have to worry about is the D tackle. I mean, you addressed it in the 3rd round. I mean, I guess the real question is are you going to regret not drafting Jalen Carter? That's the question. Or Tyree Wilson. Are you going to regret letting one of those 2 guys walk? I mean, if Jalen Carter didn't have those issues,
Right.
would he have been the guy at 6? Would he have even made it past 5? I mean, I don't know. I know that the Lions' biggest issue right now is stopping the run. And I can't really say that it was addressed. Not yet. It still can be addressed, Sean.
But not yet, in other words. They still got
Well, here's the thing. Ashawn Robinson is still out there in free agency. Defense tackle who's mainly used to stop the run. I mean, at this point, you probably got to give him a call. Because I don't know what else you got out there. You need a run stuffer. I mean, you adjust linebacker, you adjust the secondary, wide back, running back. I mean, that interior D line needs to be addressed. I mean, I don't know how you go about that, but it needs to be addressed somehow. You can sign Shawn Robinson to a 1-year deal. And then he can play that line, your run stuffer, and boom. I mean, maybe you don't want to sign a guy like that till after the season started because then his contract's not guaranteed. I don't know. But that's the one glaring weakness with this team is got to stop the run. Because New England and Carolina just ran over you like a stampede.
Right. That was a bad game for the Lions.
So the Packers, with them drafting Van Ness at 13, and then they went wide receiver, tight end, wide receiver, tight end, and then they're very young at wide receiver. They drafted 2 tight ends, and they drafted Van Ness. They're going to be a team that wants to play defense, and then when they have the ball, they're going to want to run it. They want to run the ball and get ahead of you and then force you into mistakes. They're not a passing team now. They're a run team. If they try to be a passing team, they're going to be in trouble. But if they're a run team with Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon,
it will work.
They can do some things as long as that defense, holds the form. But if they try slinging the rock all the time, they're going to run into some issues. I'm the Packers. I am probably going to use Aaron Jones as much as I can this season. And you might as well, because this is probably his last year in Green Bay. And you might as well milk the cow and give him the ball 300 plus times and throw him the ball and make him an 1,800-yard guy and let some other team pony up the money for him.
In other words, why buy the cow and get the milk for free?
At this point, yes. Might as well just use him as much as you can and wear him out. Because you still got A.J. Dillon. So, I mean, it is what it is. As for the Vikings, I mean, they addressed the Adam Thielen not being there anymore with Addison. They got bigger fish to fill.
Yes, they do.
I mean, and secondary's not all that great. Offensive line,
kind of stale.
I mean, they got T.J. Hawkinson, and they got Justin Jefferson, and they got Cook, who's probably in his last year in Minnesota. She's getting paid $14 million this year. So this will be his last year. Now, With that being said, their defense, nothing special. They're going to have to put up 20-something points a game to win. That defense will not be that good. I mean, you have Harrison Smith, and that's about it. It's not really a whole lot left on that defense. It just isn't. Now, outside of the division, who had the best draft? Probably the Eagles. Probably the Eagles. Carter, Smith, trading for Swift. I mean,
that's a bold move right there.
I mean, man. I mean, they actually got better at running back.
Which they
filled the interior holes. They got the edge.
Yeah.
I mean, the Eagles addressed every need they had. I mean, just an impressive draft. And that's why they're near the top.
Now, what do you think about the Seahawks? Because they had like a couple of draft picks because they went defense most of the draft.
I like the Witherspoon pick. They needed help in the secondary.
Right, because they haven't had a quarterback since Richard Sherman.
They're still looking they're looking at Jackson Smith and Baja's basically the heir apparent to where Tyler Lockett is, because Lockett's 31.
Right.
I like the Charbonneau pick at 60 because they're kind of thin at running back after Kenneth Walker. So that gives them two young bucks at running back. Two very good running backs. So they're set at running back for a while.
Right.
Which then, the biggest need for Seattle is the defensive line.
Stopping that run.
I would say that and the offensive line.
Yeah, especially when Geno Smith, even though he completed like 69% of his passes.
I mean, you got to be able to keep Geno upright and to be able to block. And defensively, Seattle's got to be able to stop the run.
Right.
So, I mean, it's crazy to think that. I mean, I thought Seattle had a good draft. They could have addressed the D-line.
Right.
I mean, other teams, I think the Steelers had a nice draft.
Yeah.
They addressed the offensive line.
Right, especially for Kenny Pickett. They need some wide receivers, though.
Well, they got wide receivers in the draft. I thought the Steelers had a nice draft.
Even though they're kind of quiet during draft day. That's the funny thing about Pittsburgh when it comes to draft day. They usually be quiet.
They're just very businesslike and they do their thing. Right. So other teams I think that did a good job during the draft.
Would you say the Rams, even though they got Stetson Bennett, quarterback from Georgia?
Well, Matthew Stafford went to Georgia.
Right.
So So
Got that part.
Stafford's going to be more willing to help him out just because of that alone.
Right.
But the other thing is, Matt may not make it through the season.
That's why they drafted a quarterback ASAP.
It's not, and the other thing is man, the Rams needed offensive linemen in the worst way.
Right.
That offensive line was just brutal. Brutal last year.
Who else I saw? I
mean, among the worst defensive lines, offensive lines in the league was
would it be the Raiders?
well, the Raiders had a bad pass blocking, but the Rams probably had the worst offensive line last year.
Trying to look at.
So, I mean, draft wise, I mean, I'll be honest with you. I was the Rams going into this offseason. I probably would have traded Aaron Donald at this point.
Yeah, exactly. Because you would have got some couple of draft picks, or
well, they probably could have got a 1. They could have got a 1 for sure, and then, probably something else. Andy would have shed $30 million in cap space. I mean, there's only so much to loyalty. And man, if the Lions were calling and said, hey, we'll give you like 18 and 48, are you taking it? I mean, they traded back from 40, they traded from 48 to 45 with the Packers to get Branch. But still, I mean, it's not like the Rams are going to be contending. Maybe they think, well, we'll make these offensive line changes and give it one last gung-ho here. Because essentially, this may be it for the for the Rams. Because Aaron Donald's not getting younger. Cooper Kupp's coming off injury.
Right.
I mean, you don't really have much else. You're cap strapped.
Right.
I mean, you're paying 3 guys essentially almost $100 million is going to 3 guys.
Goodness gracious.
So then you got to pay $100 million to the other 50 guys. You can't win with those kind of dynamics in the National Football League, paying 3 guys that much money. It just doesn't work out. That's why the Chiefs, if you look at the Chiefs, they're paying Patrick Mahomes fat money, right? But you know what? They're pretty damn good at this science, because if you look at it, they're paying the 3 highest paid players on the Chiefs right now are, well, let's say 4. Okay.
Okay, 4. Okay.
4 highest paid players are Mahomes, Kelsey, Chris Jones, and the left tackle. Okay. That's the 4 highest paid players. Okay. Everybody else ain't getting paid. Running backs are getting paid not much. Basically, you paid the offensive line, you paid the defensive line. The secondary gets a little bit, some love. you know, basically they're paying the offensive line, okay, to be studs. You're paying one or two guys in that D. You're paying one stud D tackle, and then you basically have drafted two D ends, hoping one of them takes over the Frank Clark role. Okay,
All right.
and then there you go. And then you've got your running backs, and look at the wide receivers on this team. Nothing major in the wide receiver group with the Chiefs. Okay,
They got plenty.
you got Tony. You got. I don't. I mean, they lost McCole Hardman. I don't know what they really have in that group. Other than Kadarius Toney, I could not name you a Kansas City Chiefs wide receiver right now.
Exactly. It's so many they got. They can throw it to. Holmes can throw it to.
I mean, they're all decent players, you know, but there's nobody groundbreaking. You know, there's no Tyreek Hill. There's no Cheetah out there. But,
Exactly.
you know, so at this point, it's like the Chiefs are kind of showing you the blueprint. And guess what? The Eagles are somewhat following it to a point. Okay, you pay your linemen, you know, but the thing is you got to go. They're going cheap everywhere else. Like when the Eagles made this trade with the Lions, DeAndre Swift's salary is only going to count $1.77 million against the book. He's probably not going to be with the Eagles next season, because he'll probably get $6-7 million or more next season. And if he has a banger season, then who knows? Okay?
Okay.
But, I mean, the Eagles, they paid A.J. Brown money. Devon Smith's still on a rookie deal. Okay? You paid your center, you paid your offensive line. Okay? You just got drafted Jalen Carter. You're paying Brandon Graham to be that guy on the outside. Okay? You got decent linebackers. You're paying Darius Slay, and you're paying the other guy corner. Okay? Basically, they're making sure that they're following the KC blueprint pretty much. Okay? You pay your linemen to protect and handle on both sides of the ball. Who controls the line of scrimmage normally wins the game. They're kind of following the Jim Harbaugh book of college football here. You know, if you control the line, you're probably going to win the game. So that's what they're doing. They're controlling the line. They are controlling the line of scrimmage, both of those teams. And when you have a crappy offensive line, you're not going to normally get stuff done. That's probably one reason why the Cardinals traded down and took an O-lineman. You know, they made the trade with Arizona and then, you know, made a trade with us with 6-12.
The best of their ability.
Because they need offensive linemen. Problem is Kyler Murray's going to waste it.
Like bad.
Because we all know how trash Kyler Murray is, as I said earlier in today's show, and I've said in numerous abundances, and I will keep on saying how trash Kyler Murray is. Okay? I am probably the number one non-Arizona Cardinal fan of the trash Kyler Murray fan club. Okay? If you want to call me a hater, go ahead and call me a hater. Okay? I'm a Kyler Murray hater. There you go. Okay? I'm letting the whole world know it, Sean. Kyler Murray hater. You know?
Yes, yeah. And
Now,
I was looking at the LA Chargers. Oh, go ahead.
the Chargers, I don't get that draft pick at the beginning of the draft. You know, I mean, I just don't get it. You have Mike Williams and you have good receivers there. You have really good wide receivers. You have Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, the kid they drafted last year from Tennessee. I mean, the wide receiver crew ain't their issue.
Just the defense.
I just don't get it. When they get a draft, they should have been looking at corner. There were corners available. Okay? There were corners available, and they passed. They passed. But I don't know who they took in round 2. I can't remember every pick. But
from USC, outside linebacker from USC.
Okay, so the linebacker groups weren't particularly strong this draft. Okay, but still,
you couldn't have had a cornerback in the first round.
Your secondary's was getting lit up like a Hanukkah, like the Advent. Man, you just saw all those different flames on the menorah. That was the Chargers. They were getting lit up everywhere. I mean, I don't know what each candle represents, but I'll tell you this. What each candle represents for the Chargers is that a loss here, loss to Jacksonville, man, they got smoked by Jacksonville twice, technically.
Exactly.
Because Jacksonville came to San Diego during the regular season and lit them up for a 40-plus muffin.
Exactly.
And then in the playoffs, you jumped out to this massive lead. And then you went MIA. And you made Trevor Lawrence look like Joe Montana with John Candy in the stands.
Basically.
I mean, I'm sorry, but
they're kind of suspect. Every year, you don't know what.
Like they're even lucky they even made the playoffs. I mean,
especially with the fourth quarter letdown.
Shawn, they are suspect. That's a good word you said. Suspect. Exactly.
Especially with the fourth quarter letdowns, because they will let you.
They're suspect. Their defense is suspect. Okay. Their defense is suspect. You don't know if their Bosa is going to even make it healthy through a season.
Right.
There's their Bosa, not San Francisco Bosa, San Diego Bosa. He's injury prone. Okay? That defense is just not very good. And I'm sorry, but when's the last time you can say, like, man, the San Diego Chargers have just a really good defense?
I could think of
honestly, seriously, I mean, we might be going Junior Seau era.
Okay. I was going to say 2006. When they were 14-2.
Well, Junior Seau was still there, I think. And if he wasn't, that was the Sean Merriman group. Okay, still, we're talking 15 years since Marty Schottenheimer was there. That's the last time. Okay, that's the last time that you can say, like, wow, the Chargers got a defense. Okay?
Right.
Because guess what? You can't say in the last 15 years, boy, that San Diego Charger defense was fired today. Seriously. I can't remember the last time somebody talked about the Chargers defense in an epic way. I swear, every time I watch the Chargers, I swear I always see teams putting up 20 on them, at least 20. They might have offense, don't get me wrong, okay?
But the defense is questionable and was very suspect.
And it's been questionable for years. Years. I just don't see. I just don't see it, Sean. The defense with the Chargers is trash.
So don't be surprised if the Chargers let go a lot of points this upcoming season. So just letting people know about that.
Well, they're going to, I mean, they fired the defense coordinator. They're going to definitely have a different look to them. I mean, if that's what we're asking, they're definitely going to have a different look.
Right.
You know, I think the question at this point is you knew what your biggest need was. You didn't really address it in the offseason.
They don't usually do nothing.
Now, I don't know what their cap situation is there, but it really wasn't addressed in the offseason. And obviously it wasn't addressed in the draft.
I can check that right now. Salary. LA Chargers salary cap. They
probably don't have a lot of cap. And Austin Eckler's in his last year, and he wants to get paid. And
oh yeah. Well, before the draft, they saved $40 million in cap.
So they got but you know why they need that cap space though, Sean? It's because their quarterback's about to get paid.
Yeah.
Problem is great. Congratulations. Quarterback's getting paid. Right. That's amazing. Okay. Still have no defense.
That means you got to keep on throwing the football.
You have no defense. So they're going to keep on getting lit up by the Chiefs. I mean, right now, this looks like the Chiefs are going to be running the division for the next 5 years.
Right. As we know it.
Seriously, the Chiefs might end up winning that division for the next 10 years straight.
Kind of like the New England Patriots when they had their era.
Pretty much, yeah. Exactly. That's probably a good way to say it, that the Chiefs are going to run the AFC West like the Patriots ran
the
AFC East.
Or AFC least.
And let me say this, and that's with the AFC East teams being complete trash most of the time. Where the AFC West teams are actually somewhat decent.
Yeah, which is pretty.
You know, this is with better teams below you, but you're still running the show. Which is just crazy. Crazy to think about. So, at this point, it's like, what do you do?
Right. Man, the Chargers,
like what do you do at this point? It's crazy to think about.
Right. Well, wait till next year when we have the NFL draft in Detroit. That's the one I'm waiting for.
Well, the draft's in Detroit. Sauce Gardner already put the notice to people to let them know that Detroit's not as safe. That's what he said. Kind of found that a little funny. Right. Like KC and Vegas. He said something about KC and Vegas, and and stuff. And I did notice that the ribs, a lot of people were eating barbecue ribs during the draft. I did
Oh yeah.
I did notice that.
Well, Kansas City, they love barbecue. Well,
So I definitely noticed the Q being 8 during the draft.
they probably put some
So
KC masterpiece on it or something.
I mean, overall, this draft, the defense was definitely better than the offense, I would say. You know, that's what I would say, at least, is in that aspect. And then next year's draft, okay, I
Oh
expect
boy.
it to be a very heavy offensive draft.
Because I remember you said before the draft is going to be more about
I expect
defense than
next
offense.
year's draft. Yep, I expect next year's draft to be very, 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 very heavy offensively. That's what I'm going to say. We got Caleb Williams, Drew Moy, Harrison. I mean, there's going to be way more offense in next year's draft than defense. This draft was about defense and corners and round 2 tight ends and round 3 tight ends. This draft wasn't as strong offensively. Yeah, you saw 2 running backs go, but the quality of the wide receivers isn't what it was the last 3 drafts. Okay? It just wasn't what it was the last 3 drafts. So, what does that mean? That I think you're going to see a lot of teams trying the tank this year for like Caleb Williams and those kind of things. Well, Marvin Harrison Jr. is going to be a top 3 pick. I mean, he's going to be top 3. I mean, maybe even top 2, top 1, who knows? But he'll be a top 3 guy. Him, Caleb Williams, Drew Moy, there's like your top 3. I mean, this draft offensively it's going to be all offensive names at the top of this draft. It's not going to be defensive guys running the show here and offensive linemen pretty much taking up, 3 through 20. Okay? This draft's going to be wide receivers, quarterbacks, and offensive linemen going like crazy. That's what it's going to be, Shawn. It's going to be a very heavy-centric draft
Next year
for offense. Other than that, Shawn, tell us a little bit about the USFL weekend that you covered down at at Ford Field.
Well, it was a very great experience because that was the first time I ever been to Ford Field. And during halftime, I saw Bobby Apert, the former USFL quarterback for the Michigan Panthers. And I think the fan did get an autograph of Bobby Apert's shirt. And plus they had great food. I was very surprised by that. So right now, even though the Panthers lost, so they're tied with the New Jersey Generals. So the next game is against the Memphis Showboats. So the game will be at Ford Field at 7:30 this Saturday.
Now, did you have media? Now, were you sitting in the media seats?
Yes, I was at the press box up top.
Nice.
Right. Best view ever.
Yeah. I've been in the press box before. It's definitely a different view, but it's a nice view where you get a overall view of everything that's going on. Plus, I bet you the food was probably pretty decent in the press box.
Oh, yes. That was probably the best Chinese food I ever had in years.
Well, see, it pays off, Shawn. Hard work pays off. You know, how many fans do you think were at the game?
I want to say like 3,000 people. I want to say 3,000.
Only 3,000 people showed up
but it was a lot. But it wasn't like in the front, like like in the left and the right, because they covered like the stuff in turf. But it was like a lot of people. And I don't want to say like it was a sold out, but it was like enough.
Like 3,000 or 30,000?
30,000.
Oh, okay, 30,000, almost half the stadium. Okay, that's that's reasonable. Right. Nothing wrong with that at all. That's definitely reasonable, and then you're going to be going back for every game the rest of the season, right?
That's correct. This Saturday at 7:30. I'll try to get there early because there's 2 games in Detroit.
Now, let me ask, because they fell behind very early Sunday.
Yeah.
Big plays really kind of determined that game early. The fumble off the sack, the big run.
Yeah. That 93-yard, when that one 93 yards, oh my goodness. I was like, oh my gosh. It was actually 2 of them. One was 93 and the other one was like 70-something yards.
I mean, big plays kind of just really, signified the day. And, pretty much,
at least we're tied against the Generals.
Did the justice, I would say. Or if you want to say, pretty much dampened the Panthers' expectations of a win. I mean, those things are correctable, don't get me wrong. But, watching it, I was like, oh.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh
my goodness.
So, I mean, it was a little crazy. All right, we got some player props here.
Oh, and by the way, sign up right now to get an instant match deposit up to $100. And we want to welcome those that are in the state of Virginia to play No House Advantage. It's been since yesterday, since that has been allowed. Okay, so the first one is Steph Curry, 31.5 points.
Okay.
Probably okay. Draymond Green, 6.5 rebounds.
Yeah, he'll probably be a little more focused this series.
All right. And finally, this should be an easy one. Anthony Davis, 2 assists.
I mean, you got to say yes, but, I wish there was a player prop on him getting injured and leaving the game because, that would be one I would probably, willing to put a little dough on.
Right. And for those,
I mean, I know the odds would be high, but, Glass Davis,
that's what you call him.
That I'm telling you, wouldn't be a bad player prop.
So if you know like I said, in the state of Virginia, if you know someone that has a gambling problem, number is 1-888-532-3500. So again, that's 888-532-3500. In the state of Michigan, it is 800-270-7117. Wisconsin is 800-426-2535. Ohio is 1-800-589-9966. And matter of fact, on Thursday we should talk about the UFC fight that's going to be happening this Saturday. Can't wait for that one. A title fight.
Yep. So we got Thursday's show. Should be interesting show. We got a little bit of UFC, a little bit of everything for Thursday.
Right. So we will see you again at the same time at 6 o'clock. Matter of fact, I do like this time better than the other one.
Yep. We'll catch everybody on Thursday.
All right. So take care, guys. Have a nice and wonderful day and enjoy the games.